I am your 40th anniversary queen, Tacita Kelch, and I'm the guest host for today's discussion on the road to the royalty. Our conversation will touch on the long history of VI Carnival Queens and the steps that it took to become a queen. Today, we are speaking with a few former queens to include the first recognized Virgin Islands Carnival Queen, crowned in 1952, Miss Carmen Nicholson Sibley. Miss Sibley, it is always a pleasure to be in your presence. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yes, so we're going to get started. I know my experience was one of the Carnival Queens that had a coronation. And I know when you guys first started, you didn't necessarily have a show, but you had votes. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, with the first carnival, in order to be a contestant and to run and to become a queen, we had to sell votes at 10 cents a piece.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So that's what we did. We had a competition, and who sold the most votes the night of the selection would be crowned queen.
During your reign, what obligations did you have as queen? Did you have to reign over the entire all the carnival events, or was it just the parade that you participated in?
No, we were invited to many of the clubs at that time, the Caribbean Hotel, the Bluebirds Cats. We were invited to meet guests that were there, and so to speak a little about the island and the parades. So that is how we were able to promote the island from hotel to different functions that were held.
Cherise Woods, Carnival Queen 2001. So, Cherise, as the title says, Road to Royalty, what was the road to your royalty?
Queen Tacita. The road to my royalty actually began a year before. So in 2000, I knew ever since I was in the fifth grade back in 1994 that I was going to run for Carnival Queen because my cousin Cheryl Clendenin, she had won that year, and my family was filled with so much excitement after she won. I wanted to be able to repeat that. So I knew from then, but the work began a year before in 2000, the year that Kanika Chisa George won. Myself and the lady who was my chaperone at the time, we attended her show and we had a notepad. We began taking notes. We began developing my talent, things of that nature. So I would say it began an entire year before.
April Petrus, Carnival Queen 1991. So, April, before you decided to vie for the title of Carnival Queen, did you have any experience with beauty pageants?
So before I decided to compete for Carnival Queen, I did enter a pageant in elementary school. It was Miss J. Antonio Jarvis. Not at the same level, but
That's
yeah. So that was that's the height of it for me.
Okay,
So
and how did you become interested in pageants?
not necessarily interested, but it was something that I wanted to do. I started as a way to help with my self confidence. So the year before, when Alison Molinar won, my mom and I attended that pageant, which was very unusual because we really didn't do pageants. And while sitting there during the show, at some point, I turned to her and I said, "Ma, I'm going to do this next year." And she looked at me like, "You sure about that? You think you could go up on the stage in front of everybody?" And you know my mom, very low key.
Yes.
And I said, "Yeah, I think I could do it." And then at some point throughout the show, I had an afterthought and I turned to her and I said, "And I think I could win too." So I think she was hoping that I would have forgotten that, but I didn't.
My mother wasn't quite as willing to give me permission initially. It was a definite no. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. Just know. And, of course, I'm an only child, and puppy dog tears and smiles worked. But she did tell me, I'm going to allow you to run, but do not go up there and embarrass me and and make any foolishness. So I had no choice but to get up there and be successful. Honorable Senator Janelle Sarro, Carnival Queen 2003.
Yes, correct.
How are you doing, Senator Saru?
I'm alive. I'm blessed to be alive in the middle of what's happening in the pandemic. So I feel blessed.
Everybody wants to know what prompted you to vie for the title of Carnival Queen.
That's an interesting question. As you can see, I have on a shirt and a pants right now. So I never really wore a dress. And then in 11th grade, my peers joined the cotillion. So they were like, come join this cotillion. I was like, what is it? So you want to be in thing.
Mhm.
So you go with your friends and you join. And I ended up in a cotillion. That was my first time wearing a dress at the Ryco Center. In this big green dress, the Iota Phi Lambda
Right.
cotillion. And then right after that, they were like, oh, you should run for Carnival Queen.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I was blah. It just and next thing I know, I went a whole pageant. You had William Chandler Champagne
Mhm.
and all these people pushing me in this direction. I was like, why not go for it? It's a challenge. Why not try it? And it was a total outer body experience for me. It was the complete opposite of what I am. But it was fun.
Shani Smith, Carnival Queen, 1999.
Yes.
How are you doing, Shani?
I'm well. And yourself?
I'm well. So tell me, how did you approach the decision to vie for Carnival Queen?
But believe it or not, I was not into pageantry. My mom had a co-worker. Her name was Alicia. I remember her nickname was Dodots. And they worked about a side-by-side cubicle, and she was on the Queen's Committee at the time.
Yes, I remember Alicia.
And they were scouting for young ladies, and I would go to my mom's job after school. And she comes in, Debbie, I want your daughter to run for Carnival Queen. Mommy said, no way. But she did.
Like my mother.
She gave me an application. But of course, I'm not aware of this whole Carnival Queen pageantry issue. So, I filled out the application, and unknowns to my mom, I went by Beretta and I did a little weave wrap up in my hair, and I took my headshot and I typed up the application at her job, and all I needed was a signature. And all I needed was Alicia to just coax a little bit more to say, let her do it, Debbie. But eventually she did, and that started the journey.
So, what was your best memory of that night?
Swimsuit.
Swimsuit. Tell me why.
Because one, I've never worn a swimsuit before. I would go to the beach in my basketball shorts and my t-shirt. And my mom used to try and buy me swimsuits. And I would never wear them. I was so uncomfortable. I was like a little tomboy, athlete. And then I stressed the night before. I stressed the weeks before, going, half naked out there
Right.
in these heels. So swimsuit was scary, just showing out my legs and my arms, and then having to walk in these shoes and walk at a high tempo, because evening wear was slow.
Right.
So evening wear was, I could
Yeah.
trip up if and still catch myself, but swimwear was like
Swimwear's a little faster,
a little
more
faster,
upbeat.
more revealing, upbeat. It was totally out my comfort zone, and the fact that I nailed swimwear, that was like my greatest accomplishment.
What was your best memory of the night that you won?
I would say hearing my name called.
Okay.
I went out and I did my best. And so, they call all the little prizes before. My name got called for several of them. And, I don't know, for some reason I wasn't expecting to hear ultimately the winner. So I think hearing my name called was the ultimate thing for me.
It's funny. I've always seen pageants, and you hear when the person gets crowned or the name gets announced, they start this crying thing, and you think it's fake. But I remember the night of the show, they they called all the persons, and they were calling the runners up, and it was 7 of us, and everybody's name was getting called. And I remember looking, and the newspaper caught me looking down the road to see who was left. And while they're doing this, they're announcing my name as winning, and I missed the whole thing. But once everybody came running, and I was like, oh my goodness, it was me. You break down and you start to cry.
Yeah,
and
you cried a lot.
Yeah.
I crowned Tasira. Tasira cried a lot. I
Yes.
think it was a combination of emotions you were probably feeling.
It was over.
But
That was-
yeah, I didn't cry. I don't recall cry. I didn't cry.
My best memory was when the boat pulled in at the Coast Guard dock, and the band started, and that was such a nice feeling with the chairs on both sides. The people were there cheering us all, waving their handkerchiefs. That was one of the best feeling that I could remember.
What is your best memory of being Carnival Queen?
But definitely traveling to London. I competed in the Miss World pageant in November, December of 1999. And that was an opportunity that most won't ever have in life. So, as the Queen of Carnival, and I think, I want to believe the franchise holder was Miss Lorna Webster at the
Yes.
time. And I was afforded that opportunity, and all expenses, of course, thanks to the Carnival Committee, to travel to compete in that competition in England.
And hopefully, with the new division of festivals, we can get our girls competing nationally and internationally
Definitely,
again.
that
I
would
think
be a plus.
that would be a really good experience.
But
for
I would
them.
certainly say that the Carnival Queen experience has certainly it has certainly changed my life. And I won 20 years ago, but I still talk about the experience as if it just happened the other day because I learned so many things from that. I was given so many opportunities from being the Carnival Queen. After having won the competition, I took my first international trip to South
Yes,
Africa.
That's right.
I met Nelson Mandela.
Well, tell us how you got to take that trip.
Well, I got to take that trip because after having won the competition, I was presented with the opportunity to compete in the Miss World competition. That year, it was held in South Africa. And, I went as the representative from the US Virgin Islands. And I mean, it was one of the most phenomenal experiences that I have ever had in my life.
And you met Nelson
I
Mandela.
met Nelson Mandela. I shook his hands. I have a photo. So if
Yes.
you don't believe me, I can show it to you. But I mean, just those life-changing experiences prepared me for the real world, and
Right.
they happened as a result of me winning the competition. So I'm always very grateful for the experience, and I would encourage anyone to participate.
It's a lifetime commitment. This year is my 30th anniversary. And to this day, people still recognize me in the street. They still call me Queen April. And there are certain expectations that the community have of me. And so it's not just for that moment, just to be the queen during carnival and that's it. It's your forever title.
You are so absolutely correct because I get stopped in the grocery store. You're the queen with a snake, and I remember you. And yes, you were the 40th anniversary queen. And sometimes, it's when you have a loaf of bread and a pack of eggs in your hand, and then you're like, okay. But
Mhm.
people are genuinely excited to always talk to you and rehash the night, and they could tell you where they were and what they were doing, and sometimes what they had on and who they were
Exactly.
with. And so that's always fun.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it's a little awkward.
Sometimes it's a little
depending
awkward.
where you are, but
I think it was maybe 2 weekends ago. Since the pandemic, I don't really take my mom out, so I took her out for just a little outing. And the guy turns to me. He turned to me and said, "What year?" So I was like, "What year? Like what are you talking about?" He was like, "This was the Carnival Queen. You would think that I won the Queen
last year.
like last year or
Mhm.
last weekend." So
I have a gentleman, every time he sees me, it's the same title, Your Royal Highness.
mhm.
And I'm like, okay.
I get
and
that
so
a lot.
everybody else is looking at
Yeah.
us like, what's really happening here? But
Yeah.
it's and of course, our late great Irvin Brownie Brown. Every
Mhm.
time I would meet him at the post
Mhm.
office, he would say, Your Highness,
Mhm.
Queen Tacita the first, and it always give a good chuckle.
Yes, and he did that to me, and also the late Wayne Faxman Adams. No matter where he saw me, he
yes.
was always Your Majesty.
Yes.
Up to what was last night? No, on Saturday. I flew back in from the mainland on Saturday, and I stopped to get a drink at the bar, a soft drink, by the way, at the bar. And I didn't know the gentleman. I didn't know the bartender. He was like, Queen, you need something to drink? And I'm like, I don't even know this guy. But I do get that a lot, yes.
Yeah. It's amazing how people will remember and really remember the little details, and always remind you, what you did, how you did it, where they were, what they were doing. And so that's always a good thing to be recognized as a carnival queen.
If you were the queen of carnival, you were the queen.
What changes, if any, would you like to see for future carnival queens?
I think more preparation for the world stage would be, because traditionally we have this habit of coming on a stage with a million props, and the way that we speak, we don't speak very natural, and that's one of the struggles I had with my coaches trying to get me to have the sing song,
Right. The pageant voice.
the pageant voice. And when you look at national and world pageants, you speak as you are. So I think it would be a better preparation for our contestants, our queens, to perform or compete on a national stage, a world stage. Just from how they model, the modeling is very busy.
Right.
You know, hands swinging head everywhere. And when you look at Miss America and Miss World and Miss Universe, it's pretty pageant modeling is so different from runway modeling.
So, do you think that our Carnival Queen contestants should move on to national pageants?
I do think so. I mean, if pageant is a business, is a competition, this is a real deal. So they should be able to move on to on a larger scale. That should be like you go to JCs or whatever. I know I had the opportunity. I was offered the chance to go to Miss World, but by that time, I signed my scholarship for school and I
Right.
couldn't breach that contract and not go to school on athletic scholarship. So it was either or for me. But anybody else that has the height and the talent and
Right.
the physique, I think that we really should be moving in that direction to go on a grander scale.
I don't live with regrets, whether good or bad. I don't think I would change anything. Maybe that one last turn in the swimwear segment where I turned around and ran right into the door that was not open. If anything, I would
Yes,
change that because
that-
that was
yes.
distinct.
Yes, there you go.
by the market. Oh, there was such a crowd there cheering us, and there came the rain, and
Oh,
the
no.
and as we were getting umbrellas from the bystanders, and was about to move on there for shade, the Duke of Iron was in the troop behind us with the Mexican. And he came on and he said, "No, no, rain, don't stop the carnival. Keep going, keep
So
going."
that is where that famous song
That
came
famous,
from.
then that's where that famous song started.
Right. Do you think that the contestants now would be able to compare or compete with you in your era?
Of course not. I think I competed against 8 other young ladies, and that was tough in itself.
That's right. It was 9
And
of you.
I'm looking back, I think that they have a lot more opportunities in terms of working individually and getting outside coaching. A lot of our services were provided by the Queen's Committee and the Carnival Committee, whatever they could afford at that time. And it was a great amount of services that were provided, from coaching to modeling and so forth. But I'm holding steadfast that they couldn't handle me back in my day.
Comparing pageants then and now, do you think new pageant contestants can compete with you and the contestants who ran in your era?
I definitely think so. I think there are certain qualities that every young woman has that no matter the era that they're in, will move from one to the next. You know, being charming, positive, confident. And I think once you have those characteristics, those traits, you're fine.
In your opinion, what are the top 5 qualities that a young lady should possess to vie for the Carnival Queen pageant?
The top 5 qualities I would say are you have to be very confident. As you know from having walked the walk, we have a very, very tough and critical crowd here
Most definitely.
in the Virgin Islands. So you have to be very confident in yourself. You have to be role model esque. I just made that up.
Yes, yes.
But you know, once you decide to compete, even if you don't win, once you become a contestant, you know, you become a role model.
Right.
You know, for all the young ladies in the community who hope to you know, walk that walk. You have to be intelligent, of course, because we would like people to know that being Carnival Queen is not just about being beautiful.
Right.
You have to be intelligent as well. You have to be kind and you have to be gracious, you know, to kind of just knock that stereotype out the park that, you know, queens are not just these stuck up people.
Right.
You know, we're kind, we're gracious, we take pride in representing this community, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I always tell people that the Carnival Queen pageant is different to any other pageant that they may experience, because it's so holistic. Because we take the contestants from day one, and you mold these young ladies. They get etiquette and modeling and public speaking, so that even if the young lady doesn't win, she's still pretty much prepared to move on to her next phase in life. Would you agree?
Yes, oh yes, and I have firsthand experience with that, having worked on the Queens Committee with you.
Yes.
That that really is what we try to prepare the girls for, because it doesn't stop at the Carnival Queen competition.
Correct.
Definitely intellect, someone that's poised, someone that's respectful. Um, you have a certain image, outward image, and someone that's just fun to be around, a team player, sport player. Because although it's a somewhat of an individual competition, it still requires a lot of camaraderie and teamwork and working together with the other girls.
What was the hardest thing about preparing for the Carnival Queen pageant for you?
Being on time.
Yes.
And we had a co-chair or a vice chair, and she was very harsh with me,
Harsh.
and she kept me on my toes. And the vice chair at the time happened to be you. So learning to be on time was one, and two was heels. Walking in heels and just embracing my femininity, being okay with lipstick and mascara and eyelashes and nails. So that would be that was the hardest part for me. And walking in heels. I mean, I'm a Mokojumbi, but heels just came with a different vibe.
Can you remember what was going through your mind while waiting for the winner's name to be called?
It's funny, and I can, because at one point you have an idea, after you've won maybe see 7 out of 8 categories, and you're looking at the crowd and you're looking at the cheer, everybody's cheering, and you're looking, sometimes you're getting eye contact, you win. And I'm just there like, this is unbelievable. Is this really happening?
Well, I was not paying attention. I was busy looking to see who was left. And so when they called my name, I didn't have a clue until everybody came running. And then I was like, me, I won. You mentioned being on time. So do you think Carnival Queen, the process, the journey helped you with time management?
Of course. I mean, not only time management, just being more articulate, being more confident in who I am, and learning to express myself, not only on personal matters, but on world matters. We had practices with Toastmasters and ways to, speak about the world issues, civic issues, anything within the social cultural context. So it was really a growth process, learning to interact with other women and learning to be okay with losing, but still maintain a level of integrity and camaraderie. So it was Carnival Queen was all encompassing.
Yes.
I can't just say it was one thing, but having to make public appearances, learning how to make eye contact, how to use your hands, when to sit, when to stand, how to cross your legs. I mean, you cross at the ankles, I think, and you tilt to the side. When you go down steps, you go to the side. So there were so many things.
Right.
Do I use them now? No. Do I wear heels now? No. But there were so many life lessons from the pageant that I will never forget. Even the opening dance was a whole production. We had like 50, 60 dancers on stage and twirling around. And by the time you hop around and you try and catch your breath, because you have to be able to deliver this 60-second speech, because if you go over the time limit, it's a penalty. And then you had to memorize a speech at the Renaissance for the introduction. That's when you pick your number. And that was like maybe 2 minutes max. So you just talking about the walls evaporated when I was born and all this fluff. And I was like, so it was, looking back, it was a lot of work that we did in the small time frame that we had.
So what was the community's reaction when you won?
Mixed feelings. And I say that because I think now it's more prevalent with social media, but I too had a lot of backlash. I sometimes say I was the underdog competing, but I had a mom that was recovering. She was a recovering addict. I had a dad that was in jail. So I was looked at as that was the black sheep.
Right.
So upon capturing a title and the crown, of course, the phone calls, the swearing, the cursing. But of course, you rise above it. And like I said, the title, the honor, and the privilege to be called the Queen of Carnival in itself was one indeed that outweighed all the negative.
Now, everybody always wants to know, do you still have your crown and scepter? Oh, did you have a
Unfortunately,
scepter?
no, I don't have my crown. At that time, everything was made. My crown was made out of cardboard.
Oh.
So therefore, the design of it, and it was rhinestones and stone paste on to the crown, and then with cotton trim the rim of it. The rain melted the crown.
no.
All the stones came off down on my dress and
Oh,
everything.
no.
I should say most of it.
I have my crown, yes, my scepter. I don't know where that is, but my crown it needs a little refurbishing. I
Yes.
think the top kind of like breaking off, but it's in that. My mom bought this crown box, so it's in there.
I do have my crown.
Oh, lucky you.
My scepter is packed away, but I do have my crown.
Do you sometimes take it out and,
No.
and put it? No, you sure?
Well, actually, it's sort of on display. I have a walk-in closet, and above the door, the entryway, there's a cutout. You could put whatever. So I have it up there.
I have my crown. I don't have my scepter. In 2000, Queen Kanika, her scepter didn't arrive in time. So I borrowed her mines and I never got back my scepter.
Yeah,
so
it's
Kanika
like-
owed me a scepter.
Yes, like that sometimes. Do you still have your crown and scepter?
Oh, I wish I did. I wish I did. Sadly, I don't even know where those things are. I've done so much moving around since winning the competition that I don't know where they are. And maybe that's a good thing because I believe if I still had them, who knows? I would probably still wear them.
So,
I would say.
Yeah, I have my scepter. I have my scepter and the crown that they gave me the night of the show, because of course we did coronation,
Mhm.
and then you got your larger crown at coronation. So I
Yes.
have my smaller crown and my scepter, but my larger crown, I don't know, went somewhere between one of the storms.
Yeah, and they
And
just
so we're gonna have to get
disappear.
the Division of
Yes.
Festivals to replace all our crowns. We'll
I
just put
agree.
that out there.
We deserve it.
This was your Road to Royalty. I am Tasita Kelch, your 40th anniversary queen. Thank you for watching the Division of Festivals Festival Arts Series.
17. So kick up. Control. Harry. Control. It's carnival. So call up people. 17. So kick up. Control.